up, guys?
Hello.
Alright, so first off, I want to preface by saying that I'm really happy I get to work as an intern with y'all this semester. So if y'all have any ideas or anything that y'all want to bring to me, feel free to. My phone's always open. I live here. I'm always here. So just knock on the door, come see me. And also I'm just very thankful for y'all and everything y'all mean for me. And I just want to make some kind of impact and leave this place better than I found it, hopefully, because it's been great for me for 4 years. So again, anything y'all need and anything that y'all want, feel free to talk to me about anything. So really, I guess for me, my story started when I was probably like 9. Like everything before that was sunshine and rainbows and all easy, and nothing was wrong in the world. And then when I was 9, my parents got divorced, and that was really kind of trying time for me because some people that happens and their parents can be best friends or they're still kind of close and it's not a huge deal. Mine was not like that. Mine was pretty messy. There's some bunch of different things going on that made it kind of hard, kind of difficult. So that was really the first real trying time that I ever faced in my life, and a lot of things that made me a better person. That I came out of the other side pretty all right, but at the time it was just kind of why is this happening? What did I do wrong? It's when you're 9, you just blame yourself. It's all you can think of is that, the only connection between my mom and my dad is me. So, if there's something wrong with them, there's something wrong with me. So, you always kind of blame yourself and, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And even though you come to realize eventually that's not the case, but when you're 9, you don't really know any better. And for a long time, that's kind of where you place blame at. And that's kind of all that makes sense to you. But I do have to say that it was probably it's the best thing that's ever happened to me because after they split, my dad remarried to my stepmom, and her family and her 2 kids went to church. And it was the first time I'd ever been to a church service was when they had gotten remarried, and they went to church on that Sunday morning, and I was like, okay, sure. I guess I have time before the NFL game starts, so sure, I'll go. And I went for the first time, and I remember I listened to the song "Mighty to Save." That was during the worship service, and I had no idea what anything in the song meant at all. I knew none of the words. I was just okay, so we're singing, I guess. But for some reason, it really stuck in my head, and then I was in the shower that night, humming it in the shower. For some reason, I was just kind of naturally drawn to the appeal of Christianity and to a God that loves me, and having a relationship with people like y'all, having a family that you can always come to that isn't broken, a family that loves each other unconditionally and is always here for you. And eventually, my 2 stepbrothers started going to CA, which is the Christian high school that I graduated from. And from them going there, they were hey, it's a good school, people there are really nice, and it's good academically. So I ended up going there. That's where I graduated from. And when I got there, I got to go to Bible every day. I had a chapel every day. So I heard lessons about God more than I ever imagined in the first 15 years of my life. And whenever I finally got there, it sounds really bad when I say this, I was in 8th grade and we were studying the story of David and Goliath, and I was oh, that's where that's from. Because I always was a sports reference when when the team is supposed to win and beat something that is supposed to win. So that's what I always thought David and Goliath was. I didn't know that's where it came from. So I was oh, that's pretty cool. And then so I knew nothing, and I thankfully over 4 years I had a bunch of people that poured into me that really that really helped me grow in my faith a lot. And again, as I look back on things, it's pretty tough. Sometimes thinking about some of the things that you have to go through and all of that kind of stuff. But you can look where you are now, and I look back now and I see how God worked through everything that's happened to me. Through that one event, I went to church for the first time and fell in love with it, and felt drawn to this faith and to our God. And without that, I may not have gone to CA, which would have meant I wouldn't have had 4 years of getting God every single day and meeting people that knew Him and loved Him and were a good influence on my life. I wouldn't have met my girlfriend. I love her, so she's awesome. So I wouldn't have met her. But that one event for me is at the time it felt so bad, God can't work through it. And for me, I always think that Romans 8:28, God can use everything for good, and that's how I always whenever I look back on it now, that's how I view it. Those times were tough. Things weren't always easy. Things were really messy. But in the end, I wouldn't want it any other way. It got me to where I am. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of how I've grown, and I love what I get to do and how much I get to have a family like this, and I get to serve and love God. So I wouldn't change anything about it. And one thing that I would say for talking to people that I've known and met is that, like, I say that, and my story is my story, but I wish there are times that I wish I would have been in the family that went to church every Sunday, and I got to sing all the VBS songs and go to all those classes, and like, I wish I could have been the guy that knew more and had all the knowledge of it and grew up in it, and I could have been that person, but that wasn't for me. So I know that there are some people that are like, I kind of wish that there are stories that I was more like you, where it's like I chose it on my own. Like, I was 16 years old and I decided I have a car, I want to go to church, so I started going with my stepbrother because he went and hung out with his friends, and I went, and that's where I was baptized and all that kind of stuff. So like, for me, that was my story, but again, there are definitely times and moments where I wish I was like a few of y'all, or like other people that I went to high school with that were, from the time that they could walk, they went to church with their family. So again, everybody's story is the same, and God can use you in however way. So that was just, for me, it's been great, and I'm appreciative of how God's used my life and worked in me, and I hope I can continue to do that for a really long time. So thank you all.